Hello, my friends. We heard the parable of the vineyard workers a few months ago, and it has been bothering me since. You remember the story, right? A vineyard owner hires workers for his vineyard. Then, the owner goes out and brings in more workers throughout the day. At the end of the day, all the workers are paid the same wage, even those who have only worked in the vineyard for an hour. I've been told before that this was a representation of heaven, that it doesn't matter when you pick up God's work, the reward will be the same for all of us. But it doesn't seem fair, particularly to those who have always worked in God's vineyards and have been there the entire time, which I should say is not me. I didn't show up into the vineyard until about 3 o'clock. It wasn't until I heard Bishop Robert Barron's homily that I wondered if I wasn't interpreting the parable inaccurately. Bishop Barron brought up St. Catherine of Siena's famous "The way to heaven is heaven" quote, and I began to realize that, like the prodigal son, the message isn't about the rewards we have received from God from doing His work, but rather our inability to see how lucky we are to have been chosen to work in the vineyard at all. In other words, by accepting God's will and doing His work, you will be in heaven. I must say homilies like this make me question the meaning of words like heaven, blessings, and grace, and I have been fussing about the parable ever since. After reading Albert Camus' Myth of Sisyphus, I began to feel a little bit more comfortable with the parable. Sisyphus is the Greek mythological figure who is fated to push a boulder up a hill for eternity. The scenario seems like hell to me, pushing a rock uphill only to have it roll back down to the bottom over and over again. But, as Camus pointed out, many of us do things every day that are just as meaningless, and yet we still feel satisfaction and pleasure at the end of the day from a job well done. In other words, if you own the stone as your mission, then the absurdity of doing the same mindless things over and over again will be a joy. I can see that, but I still don't feel like I'm in heaven. I may have had an epiphany, though. Despite having a couple of stones, like my bucket list and the Everyday Patriot project, I don't work on them, at least not like I should if I want to get the boulder up the hill. However, I am happy to help others roll their stone up the mountain, even if afterwards I feel sad because I have gotten nowhere on with my own rock. While I believe our missions should be service-oriented, I've decided that we need to guard the time we allot to them selfishly. Otherwise, we will never get our rock up the hill, not even once, and we will regret not getting it done. And I've reached the tipping point where I need to focus on my rock and not take on any more projects. Except, I saw this really pretty St. George and the Dragon Filet crochet tablecloth pattern, and a friend of mine was talking about creating a crafting group. And even though it's been a really long time since I've crocheted and I was really never very good enough at it to create something like this, I might just pick up this stone too.